Good evening, everyone. Say good evening. It's afternoon, but welcome to the stream. So, as you guys know, we're going to be doing part two to the ranking the characters today. We're a little bit earlier for this for today's stream anyway. As you guys know, we usually stream an hour later, but we're streaming now because I've got work at 6, so that's how that goes. Hi Shri, how we doing? Hello Lewis Hamilton. Hi Unknown Gamer, how are we doing? It's actually funny you mentioned Lewis Hamilton. I was just drinking a Lewis Hamilton Monster. This is a cute tier listed bone saw making for you. Hey, comrades, says Cineflick. How are we doing today then, guys? Hopefully we're all doing really well. Hope you're having a nice Friday afternoon. Yeah, as you can see, we've actually upgraded the stream a bit. We've got music in the background. Let me know if you guys can hear that, by the way. And we've obviously got the webcam thing going on there. We've also got the chat in the bottom left-hand corner, so you guys don't have to keep referring to the chat. You can just watch the stream like in full screen mode if you want, so you can see the discussions going on as well. If you are, not typing in the chat. So yeah, we've upgraded the stream a little bit for today. But anyway, we're just gonna wait for a few people to get in here. I'm gonna share the stream around a little bit. You guys, if you could do me a really big favor, if you guys could share it too, that'd be great. Yo, Cham, how we doing? What is your favorite Spider-Man? What is my favorite Spider-Man? It's a great question. I think it changes. I always have this one really on the fence answer because I don't like saying, "Oh, it's Toby, it's Andrew, it's Tom," right? I'm assuming that we're speaking about that. What I usually say is my favorite Spider-Man is Toby. I think the best character is Tom, and my guilty pleasure is Andrew. That's my on the fence answer, and that's the one I always usually go with. So, yeah, your favorite Spider-Man is Paul. Oh no, not Paul. Oh god, goddamn Paul. Paul's the best character. Spider-Man 2 gameplay trailer was amazing. It was, yeah. So Cineflick, I don't think I saw you in the Wednesday stream, but or you might have been there. I think you were. I don't know. Yeah. Hi, Ravenous Punch. How are we doing? But yeah, we spoke about the Spider-Man 2 gameplay. Yeah. So we're gonna be doing the part 2. So if you guys remember, this is what we had from the last stream. We had obviously this is the list we have already. So now we're getting on to the TASM characters. Oh, you was at Turing? Okay, so you weren't there. Either way. So yeah, we've got Lizard is up next, but this is the list we've got so far. So in S, we've got Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man, Green Goblin, 2 J. Jonah Jamesons, Mr. Dickovich, Aunt May, and Taz and Uncle Ben. In A, we've got Harry Osborn, Sandman, we've got Randy Savage, Doc Ock, Robbie, MJ, Dennis Leary's Captain Stacy. We've got the kid from TASM 2, and we've got Pizza Joe. Then we've got Bruce Campbell, Uncle Ben, Ted Raimi, Hoffman, and Ursula. And in C, we've got Venom, Harry Osborn from TASM 2, Flash Thompson, Betty Brant, Bernard, although as I like to call him, just Harry Osborn's Alfred. And we got the guy who killed Uncle Ben. I forgot his name. What's his name? What's his name? You guys will know his name. Then we got in D. We have Dr. Kafka, Dr. Connors, Gwen. We got Rose. Then we got the Gentleman, and then E. We've got the Spider-Man 3 Captain Stacy, John Jameson, the Bank Guy, Mary Parker, Rhino, Felicia Hardy, Donald Mencken, and Gwen's mum. So that's what we've got. That's what we've got in the moment, and we're gonna be doing the rest of the characters. So spoilers for Spider-Man 2. Paul is in it. Oh no! Imagine if Paul was in Spider-Man 2. Lewis, I think if Spider-Man is to face Kraven, then the story needs to include a heavy-duty villain such as Rhino or Lizard to show Kraven can match Spider-Man. Insomniac rightly included Lizard. Yeah. I mean, I think that is the purpose of Lizard in that story. So, thoughts on the lizard design in Spider-Man 2? I honestly love it. Yeah, I think it's great. I think the lizard design's great. I was really happy they went with like more of an animal because I think the Insomniac universe, and I mentioned this in my video tomorrow, but the Insomniac universe I think is too like almost I don't know what's the word. It's too tech based, right? Now, it isn't a problem. All the character designs are tech based, which is fair enough. But I feel as if there isn't enough like monsters, right? 'Cause Spider-Man has a lot of villains that are just straight up like animals, and I think a good opportunity to do that was the lizard. And they just went all out. They didn't mess around with the lab coat, trying to give him some armor or whatever. He just straight up is just a monster, which I love. I think it's great. Hi, Joe. How we doing? Hopefully you're okay. I have mixed feelings about the symbiote suit in the gameplay trailer, but other than that, I'm really hyped for the game. Yeah, so the controversy is just around the symbiote, but overall, it's been positive reactions from across the board, across the fandom. Craven is the Venom in Spider-Man 2. I'm betting it now. Imagine if that's the case. See, I think the interesting thing about who will be Venom in Spider-Man 2 is it's so open-ended. So, obviously, I'm going to blow you guys' mind here, right? Well, I'm probably not, but the Venom could literally be 4 people in Spider-Man 2. And there's equal chance that it could be either of them. So, number one, most obvious one, it could be Harry Osborn, right? And I think it will end up being Harry Osborn. But then again, that might be too obvious. Number 2, it could be Eddie Brock. Now, we know that MJ is working at the Daily Bugle. J. Jonah Jameson in the Prelude comic has just bought the Daily Bugle back. In Marvel Spider-Man 2, J. Jonah Jameson will own the Daily Bugle. We know that Eddie Brock worked at the Daily Bugle before J. Jonah Jameson sold it, before Marvel Spider-Man, so he could come back to work there, and that's how they introduce Eddie Brock. So it could be Eddie Brock. Number 3, it could be Peter Parker. We had hints at the end of the gameplay. Peter said, "Oh, I have teeth too." Peter could just straight up become Venom, and then you have to fight Peter as Venom, as Miles, and that way Venom could be playable. You get to fight Venom as Miles Morales, and Peter as Venom, and that'd be really cool. Or number 4, it could be Craven, like Ravenous Punch says. It could be Craven, and that would be interesting as well. So there's 4 possible options. Venom could be 4 people, and no doubt Symbiote City will happen, probably. So it could be all of them. Who knows? Yeah. Anyway, so Lizard is C for me. Did you notice that Craven's map Shocker was there? Do you know what that means? Shocker! I'll chase you to the ends of the earth. I love that. I love the symbiote design in the trailer. Also, Peter could actually turn into Venom, and we get a boss fight with Miles. That's 100% going to happen. We're going to get a boss fight either way. Even if he's met up Venom or not, it'll happen. Anyway, let's move on to the list then, shall we? So where is Lizard for you guys? So obviously, if you guys were here on the stream on Tuesday, you would know that this is where we got up to. If not, it doesn't matter. We just had a bunch of discussions about the characters, but overall, this is where we placed them. This is what we're dealing with. So you haven't really missed much if you're looking at the screen right now. Yeah, where we put in Lizard. B or C. Lizard is low A. Says 24 breaks. Oh, 24 breaks high. How we doing? Thought the stream was going to be Sunday. It was going to be Sunday, but I moved it to Friday because I had time today. I had time to do it today, so I decided to do it today instead of Friday. So, I thought since we usually stream on Friday, and Friday's my day to stream, I'm going to take the opportunity to do it on Friday. That way we can get the stream out of the way with. And plus, we're riding on the Marvel Spider-Man 2 hype at the moment. So, yeah. Did you see how the suit's eyes became more Venom-like at the end of the gameplay when he says, "So do I"? That was so cool. Yeah, that was cool. Ravenous Punch says, "Lewis, did you know that John Watts wanted Morbius and Blade in Homecoming 2? We were robbed." Yeah, I saw your message on Discord about that, actually. I'm going to read that article because that looks very interesting. Ultimate Clone Saga, not the confusing one. Could be what the MCU does with Jackal. Could be. B or C. So everyone's saying low A, high C, D. Well, so it's quite a mixed bag, actually. Lizard is B. B, I think, says the movie nitpicker. Joe says I'm doing the math test at the same time as this. Concentrate on your test, man. I don't want you to get a bad grade, but it's funny that you're in here. Friday belongs to Lewis. Yeah, exactly. So Fridays are the stream days. You guys know this. these Spider-Verse emojis. Love the Spider-Verse emojis. Glad you like them. They're going to be staying in until a couple of weeks after the movie comes out. So we got Miles, Miguel, Gwen, Peter, Rio, Jefferson, Jessica Drew. Those are the emojis that we have. So if you're not a member, by the way, we've got Spider-Verse emojis that you can use at the moment, exclusively to the members. And his motivation is kind of silly despite it being hilarious. Callback to the 90s show. I guess we're talking about oh yes, we're talking about the Lizard. Okay, so here's where I'd put Lizard. I'd say I think he's a good character. Now I forgot where we're really at with these characters. I'd put him like here, right? I think I'd put him like there. I think he's a mid B. I think Lizard is an interesting one because the potential for the character was there. We know that Mark Webb had something really special planned for the Lizard and Doc Connors, but unfortunately, due to Sony intervening and trying to cut the movie down and etc., we know there was a bunch of deleted scenes with Doc Connors and his family, explaining and expanding upon his motivation more and why he wants to do what he's doing. And I think it was really sad that we didn't get to see that. As CineFlick points out, his motivation is a bit lacking. And I think if those scenes weren't deleted, we would have got a little bit more to that, which would have been cool. Shocker be wondering what he did to piss off symbiote Spidey. Yeah, well, we'll have to see in Marvel Spider-Man 2 if that comes back around. Anybody almost done with school? I got 4 days left and then vacation. Damn, you got 4 days left. Well, yeah, I mean, vacation is right around the corner. I've got 2 more dissertations to do, and then I'm done with education forever. I ain't going back. I'm going out into the big world now, making videos for you guys. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing for the rest of my life. Well, until obviously you guys stop watching the videos. But are we combining his appearances from TASM and No Way Home? Yeah, I guess so. I guess you could say we are. We need a web cut of both TASM films. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to see what Mark Webb wanted to actually do with the Amazing Spider-Man 3 as well. I think that's interesting. Do you guys think the redesign in No Way Home was better or worse than the one in TASM 1? I think it was worse. Because the issue is, I think the CGI just in general was a bit rushed in No Way Home. And obviously we had the pandemic and everything, so it makes sense. But yeah. Better, says Joe. Joe says better. I mean, he didn't look bad, though. He still looked pretty good. Anyway, what's his name? That guy, the guy from TASM 1. The secretary guy. He's kind of just another side character, isn't he? He's kind of like, he's not really, he did his job. His character did his job, but he wasn't anything special. So what I'm in my final year of college. I mean, yeah, I'm in my final year of college. I'm in my final year of university. I study film and creative writing at university, and then I'm done. This is my final year. I've got 2 tests left, and then I'm done. And I'm done forever. And then I'm just basically making videos for you guys, and that's it. that's what I'm doing afterwards. That's my plans. Anyway, yeah. This guy, I'd say he's like D because he did his role. He wasn't a bad character. He wasn't a bad character. He wasn't a great character. I think the issue with the TASM side characters or the minor characters, we said this in the last stream if you guys were here. The issue is that I think a lot of the Raimi side characters are very well known, like they're memeable, and they're very like, I don't know, they've got some flair to them, if you know what I mean. Like Mr. Dickovich, he's funny. Ursula's memorable. J. Jonah Jameson, obviously. The TASM side characters aren't very memorable. And I think that's a big issue with them. But obviously they still fulfill their purpose, but there's nothing defining them, if you know what I mean. So I think he's like a D. He's like a D. Oh, hi. Oh, hi. You're back. Sorry, this is my brother. Hi. Are you okay?
You've returned.
Okay. Sorry, I'm streaming.
Oh.
Hi. I wondered what that banging was. Anyways. Yeah, so I think he's a D. Maybe. You're in your first year of high school. Oh, well, good luck with high school. Everyone's saying D, D, E. Yeah, exactly. Dr. Rother. Yeah, that's it. That's his name. Lizard in TASM looks more like Scorpion than Lizard. The design looks like a lot like Scorpion. The long mouth is missing. Yeah, the long mouth is missing. That's one thing that I always thought was really weird when I was a kid, because I grew up with the cartoons and the comics where the mouth was a snout. Obviously in the original comics his mouth wasn't, but like I didn't grow up in the 60s. I grew up with like the newer comics where his mouth is more of a snout, and I thought it was weird. I thought it was a really weird design. It's the father. Yeah, it's Richard Parker. Where are we seeing him, Richard Parker? His character. I'm gonna put this out there. I'm gonna put Richard in E. Right. I think Richard is a low E. A very, very low E. Because I think his character did way more damage to the TASM films than it did good. If Richard wasn't relevant in TASM 2 and he was just in TASM 1, he'd be like a D, right? He was pretty cool. The performance was great. His mystery was cool. But he's a low E. He's probably one of the worst characters, I'd say. Don't get me wrong. It's nothing to do with him. It's what they did with the character. So, obviously, he injected his blood into the spiders, which meant that, obviously, Peter didn't have, like, an allergic reaction, essentially, when he got bitten by a spider. Which meant that he could get the powers and basically not become a mutant. Like how Harry got the Goblin Serum and became, like, this mutated freak. That didn't happen to Peter because Richard Parker's blood was in the spiders, right? That makes Peter the Chosen One, which completely rids any purpose of Spider-Man whatsoever. Because Spider-Man's purpose is that, he's Spider-Man, anyone can wear the mask. It just so happens that it was Peter Parker that got bit by it, right? Because, as Stan Lee says, obviously Spider-Man wasn't created with the purpose of, but has now subsequently became a character that anyone can see themselves in. And those are direct words from Stan Lee. The reason why Spider-Man's so popular and the reason why Spider-Man is so relatable is because anyone can see themselves in Spider-Man. Let's look at the kid from TASM 2. We put him in A because he serves that purpose. He looks up to Spider-Man. He could see himself as Spider-Man. He relates to Spider-Man. He puts on the costume. He feels strong. They even had that moment in TASM 1 where with Jack and he puts the mask on and he climbs the car. That's what Spider-Man's about. Speaking of Jack, is Jack even on this list? Jack isn't even here. Jack's like an A character anyway. He's not even on here. That's disappointing. Anyway, you get the point. And that's why, for the same reason, which is why the whole, if you guys remember a couple of months ago, the whole, Miles Morales isn't Spider-Man debate. That was so stupid because the whole anyone can wear the mask thing is literally why Miles Morales is Spider-Man. That's why Gwen Stacy is Spider-Woman. It's why Jessica Drew is Spider-Woman. It's why Ben Reilly is Spider-Man. It's why anyone else that becomes Spider-Man is Spider-Man. It's not, Spider-Man isn't Peter Parker. Spider-Man is a symbol. I think Andrew Garfield said that in an interview as well when he put on the suit. He said, it's not me, I'm representing a symbol, of heroism, of hope. And that's what all the other characters in the Spider-Man mythos do, like Miles Morales, like Peter Parker, Ben Reilly, whoever it is, they represent that. And Richard Parker making Peter Parker the Chosen One completely diminishes all of that. If that is the case, then Miles Morales could never be Spider-Man. Gwen Stacy could never be Spider-Woman. Maybe you could get Ben Reilly because he's a clone of Peter Parker, but that's as far as you could go. It means that no one else other than Peter Parker could be Spider-Man, which completely ruins the whole purpose of what Spider-Man is. So, therefore, he's an E. That's my long-winded explanation. Hello, how are we doing? How is everyone? Everyone's just joined the chat. We're talking about Smythe now. I wish we could have gotten the deleted graveyard scene from TASM 2 with Rich and Peter. Yeah, that was a pretty good scene. The 2003 MTV show had perfect lizard design. It's similar that's the similar one to Marvel Spider-Man 2. I agree that the story is bad, but the character is fine. Yeah, but I think it's what the character represents, which is the problem. The character himself, his personality, he's written fine, like whatever. I just think it's what the character represents for the story. I don't think he's any good, which is my problem. What's your favorite variant of Spider-Man aside from Miles and Peter? Well, my two favorite are Miles and Peter, but I think I'd have to say Spider-Gwen. I know that's very basic because that's like the trio, right? Miles, Peter, and Gwen. Like the Spider trio in modern day is Miles, Peter, and Gwen. So I that's kind of basic me saying that, but it is Gwen. I like the idea of Spider-Gwen. Yeah. What's your favorite vet? Oh, I just read that one. It was Chance. Question for you, Lewis. Have you ever considered doing a Sony Spider-Verse, a Sony Spider-Universe, like a what-if version? Yeah, I did the Spider-Verse saga, which was basically a combination of what if Sam Raimi's universe continued? What if the TASM universe continued, the original Sonyverse? And I basically brought them all together. So I kind of already done that. Mine is Paul, says 24 bricks. Nice. How we doing, Liz? Hi, cool man. Hope you're okay. Okay, so let's move on to Smythe. So once again, Smythe, he's an alright character. He's like a D again. Once again, nothing special to him. He's just kind of there. Let's move on to Electro. Smythe, the villain that went nowhere. Yeah, exactly. He went nowhere. He's a D. He's like, I don't know. He's there, and he's just there. He served his purpose in Electro's story, but he was there. Right, speaking of Electro, where are we putting Electro? Because I think a lot of people are going to have a very mixed opinion on this. I think. Electro is mid to high A, says 24 bricks. That's interesting. He's way better than No Way Home, says Cool Man. High A? Wow. So, okay, so we're including the No Way Home stuff as well. We're including the No Way Home stuff. Is the No Way Home Electro on here? He's not. Okay, so we're just counting Electro as TASM 2 and No Way Home as well. Electro is B, says Ravenous Puncher. Okay, so I think personally, Electro is like here. He's like a mid C for me. Now the reason is because in No Way Home, the issue is in No Way Home, there was that many villains that it was only Goblin really that had time to be like the main villain, if you know what I mean. And Doc Ock was kind of the secondary villain. Electro had the whole power struggle thing going on. But apart from that, most of his character then has to come from what happened in TASM 2. But TASM 2, I love Electro. I think Electro is cool as hell. Electro is cool as hell, especially No Way Home. But as a character, from TASM 2, I don't think he was that great. He wasn't that great in TASM 2. He just wasn't. And there's so much lost potential there. Because like I said, in No Way Home, the film is built off the idea that all the characters are established and you can just throw them together. No Way Home is the Spider-Man Avengers movie, right? Like, imagine if they tried to set up and do Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Hawkeye, Black Widow, and Hulk all in the same movie. It wouldn't work. But the good thing about the MCU is that they built up all those characters before shoving them into one movie, where you don't have to establish them, you don't have to say why they are like how they are, and that's what No Way Home did. They brought in Andrew and Toby. We already know what happened with them. We've had 2 Tom Holland movies. We already know what's happened with him. That we've already know what's happened with all the villains because we've already seen them in other movies. And then Electro comes in, and he hasn't had a great movie. And yeah, he's improved. His design is improved. His writing is improved. He has a little bit of kind of like a power arc. But apart from that, his character has to balance off what came from TASM 2, which I think wasn't very good. So, yeah, Electro probably would have been a high D for me in TASM 2, but No Way Home brings him up to a mid C. And I think that's why he's not any higher than that, personally anyway. One of my wishes is that Electro turns out to be an Nexus being in the MCU. Jamie Foxx really improved a lot. I hope we can see. Yeah, and that's the thing is, I feel really bad for Jamie Foxx because he's an incredible actor, and he got stuffed with Electro's character in TASM 2. Like, if Electro was like how he was in No Way Home in TASM 2, he would be so much better. I mean, to be fair, he didn't really do anything in No Way Home either. Yeah, he didn't really do anything. It was just written slightly better, slightly cooler, and that was it. I loved Electro, maybe rushed into being a villain, but he had some epic music and was a really good villain in No Way Home. We can all agree that he has the best villain music. Yeah, the dubstep is quite cool. All he did in No Way Home was have a cool entrance. Yeah, exactly. There wasn't really room to do much with Electro. Hello, I've been up for a while, but I'm officially back. Hello, Adam Warlock. Welcome to the stream. Anyway, let's move on to Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man. Obviously, I think this is one of the characters that we could say is up there. I think, obviously, we're ranking it in order as well. So this is like first to last that way, first to last. I think he's second to Toby. I think Toby comes in ahead of him. I think Andrew comes in ahead of Green Goblin by quite a substantial margin, but I think he is below Tobey Maguire. I think he's second in the all-time Spider-Man. All Spider-Man are S. Yeah, of course. All Spider-Man are automatic S. But it depends what order they go in, which is the most interesting part. But I think Andrew is second to Toby, I think. I think based on proxy, like TASM 1 and 2 would have had to have been two of the most amazing movies ever to get anywhere close to Toby's Peter, right? Because as a character, Toby's Peter's had way more time to develop. Now, obviously, that's subjective. You could think that Andrew is better anyway. It might be your personal preference. But I think just looking at it objectively, at how much time Toby had to be a character, develop, and to go through arcs, etc., he's had way more time. And yeah, it's an unfair contest because Andrew only had 2 movies and an appearance in No Way Home, whereas Toby had the appearance in No Way Home and 3 movies. So it is a bit unfair, but looking at it, even if Toby had Spider-Man 1 and 2 and we got rid of 3, Toby would probably still come out top. So, yeah. This is close, I guess, though. Andrew is miles above Goblin, but, like, I don't think he's above Toby. Andrew is high A, high S. Yeah, he's in that range. He's in that range. I would put Andrew in low S next to Toby. Andrew would have been an S for me before No Way Home. Yeah, exactly. He would have been an S for me before No Way Home anyway. Right, Aunt May from the TASM movies. Now, I don't think she's better than Aunt May of the Raimi films, but personally, I think she's a high A. I don't think she's better than Harry Osborn from the Raimi films, but she's a high A. High A, low S, says 24 Bricks. I agree. Joe says B. Be interesting to why you think she's a B. But high A, low S. B says Ravenous Puncher. Okay, so generally we'll say mid-table. I'm going to say she's a high A. And my reasoning for that is, let me just take a sip of water. The reason I think she's a high A is because she had that really nice moment in TASM 2. One of the better scenes in TASM 2 is when she sits down with Peter and basically says, "You're my son. You're my son. I need to protect you." And it's a really nice moment. And she's good in TASM 1. So she's a great character. She really is. She's one of the lighter parts of the TASM movies. Obviously, she's crucial in Peter's life. And I'm sad we didn't get to see much of her in TASM 2 because of how many characters there were and how much they had to do. But she was still great. You know, when she was there, she was still great. It wasn't like it was mediocre. When she was there in TASM 2, she was great. So, yeah. Right, Flash Thompson. What are we saying with Flash Thompson from TASM 1? What are we saying with Flash Thompson? I think you guys are going to be really surprised where I put Flash Thompson from TASM 1. I want to know what you guys think first, though. What are you saying? I want you to play it in the chat. What are you saying? I think this is going to be really interesting. See where you guys put it. Flash Thompson. What are we saying? The TASM 1 Flash Thompson. Thinking. She's equal to Raimi, Aunt May for me. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. High D? What? High D? Flash high B? Okay. Okay, so we've got mixed thoughts here. B or an A, says Cineflick. Okay. For me, Flash Thompson is a low A. He's like there. He's like next to Captain Stacy. Now he's the best Flash. Now here's the reason, right? Flash Thompson is great in the TASM movies. He has a character arc. One thing that the Raimi Flash Thompson lacked, which I think Flash Thompson from the TASM movies has, is that he actually has a character arc. Right? So by the end of the movie, he respects Peter. He's on Peter's side. He's even wearing a Spider-Man shirt. We see that kind of transform, right? Just 1 second, guys. Just give me 1 second. Okay, we're back. I do apologize for that. Hopefully we haven't lost all viewership ever. Okay. Okay, let's get back to this then. Okay, so where were we? So yeah, Flash Thompson is a high X. He had a character arc in No Way Home. Oh my god, I've actually missed loads of like chats. Okay, Gwen Stacy, yes. Yeah, we'll get to Gwen Stacy. Favorite UK sweet, Lewis? Favorite UK sweet? That's a great question. I don't know. I really like Cadbury's Dairy Milk. I don't know if that's exclusive to the UK, though. The only thing I did not like was I felt like he was too friendly with Peter at the end. Being nice was a bit sudden for me, but I liked his arc slowly building into the film. Raimi Flash was only in the first movie and didn't really do much, and MCU Flash isn't really much of a bully, so I guess it's fair to say TASM Flash is the best. I'd actually agree, cool man. Raimi Flash had very subtle character growth. He went to Harry's funeral, but that doesn't mean much, I guess. It was cool to see. Yeah, okay, well, that was cool to see. I just think in TASM 1 it was a bit more apparent, wasn't it? TASM Flash was in TASM 2 in a deleted scene. I think everyone was in a deleted scene from TASM 2. So you have... Do you have Big Ben caramels in the UK? I have no idea what they are, so I'm guessing no. Anyway, let's move on to Gwen Stacy, shall we? So Gwen Stacy, obviously an S, but where? This is interesting. This is why I wanted to do this tier list, because we're going to get to characters, especially in the MCU, like Gwen Stacy. Where do you put them? So obviously Raimi MJ is an A. Is she an E? No. Is she a D? No. Is she a C? No. Is she a B? Definitely not. Is she an A? She's above MJ. Yep. Doc Ock. Yep. Sandman, Aunt May. Better than Harry. Definitely. Is she above Uncle Ben? Yep. Is she above Aunt May? Yes. Is she above J. Jonah Jameson? Probably. Is she above Goblin? Yes. She's about there. She really is. She's like 100% S. She is 100% F. Gwen is above Goblin. Yeah, she's about there. So the thing is with Gwen is she's a great character, right? Her death is amazing. Her character in 2001 is amazing. Everything about her character is done well. There's not one mediocre moment with it. And I think that's great. She is definitely an S. There's no doubt about it. And the thing is, she has that whole thing with her father, doesn't she? About, her father goes out, every time, and then when she finds out Peter's Spider-Man, she's like, she doesn't want the same thing to happen to her father that happens to Peter, and that it informs the whole relationship. Yeah, the best Spider-Man love interest. Yeah, in the movies, yeah. The chemistry she has with Andrew Garfield, Emma Stone's performance, everything about the character. It's emotional. It's thoughtful. They have nice moments. I feel like Kirsten Dunst's MJ and Tobey Maguire's Peter didn't have those moments as much as Gwen and Andrew did. Gwen and Peter did in TASM 1 and 2. So yeah, honestly, she is the best. Gwen's death was rushed, says Ravenous Puncher. Yeah. I mean, I think the only reason you think that is because the amount of stuff that was happening in TASM 2. Because the thing is with TASM 2 is you could say everything's rushed. I think a few things needed to happen in TASM 2, but I think because they put so much in there and they tried to do so much at once, it took time away from everything else, so they could have spent more time with Gwen. Personally, I would have done Gwen's death in TASM 3, although I don't mind it in TASM 2. I think it was still done really well. I would have had Electro. I would have spent more time with Electro. I would have not had Harry go on the villain arc. I would have just had him be introduced. I would have put hints. Would have expanded on Electro more. Expanded on Gwen the relationship. And then have her die in TASM 3. With Harry becoming the Goblin. And I think it would have worked like that. I think that would have worked so much better. Hi, Daniel's World. How are we doing? The Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah, well... some of the stuff in those movies aren't amazing. Norman is F. He did nothing and just died the first time we saw him. Yeah, okay, so moving to Norman. Where are we saying Norman? Norman Osborn of the Tasman universe, where are we saying he is? I say F, we haven't even got F. We create a Norman list, a Norman tier. Ravenous Punch says, Tasman universe didn't need Goblin this early. They should have done Hammerhead or Tombstone as the villains. I don't think that's what the Tasman universe was about, though, was it? Because it was directly linked. Oscorp was like the overarching big bad of the whole franchise, so I think it was important that they did Goblin at some point. I don't think they should have done him TASM 2. I don't think that was needed. TASM 2 should have been entirely a love story. That would have been sick. But that's kind of what TASM 1 was, though, right? Low E, yeah, he's like there. I mean, yeah, he's below Richard Parker. I don't really think he's that great. He's just his purpose was to tell Harry that he's dying, and then he dies himself. What more? Like, what else is he? Like, who is Norman Osborn? Why is he such a threat? Why is he like he had such a history with Richard Parker? But why? Like, what's the relevance there? There was just too many stories going on, so I don't really know what else I would have done with him. I don't think there was any need for him to be there anyway. So yeah, Norman, any. I think you guys are right there. No opinion on this Norman really. Yeah, no, me neither. That one scene with TASM Norman just makes me feel like he never even existed in the TASM universe. Yeah, exactly. Lewis, I think Norman from TASM 2 is E tier. He was there for 3 minutes. What a waste. Yeah, A tier for Norman just being there. Maybe we could see his head in a jar. His ranking would improve. Oh, God, no. They were going to do that, weren't they, in TASM 3? They were going to clone Gwen and Captain Stacy. They were going to have Norman's head in a jar. What else were they going to do? They were going to do something else, weren't they? Oh, it's crazy. I can't believe they were going to do that. He had like 2 lines. He did, yeah. He was like, "Oh, you're dying," and then it was like, "I'm dead," and then he was dead. That was it. Why did the dude have a creepy goblin nails like that? I don't know. He had like an he called it the Osborne curse or something. I don't know. Why would your father have? Oh, wait, what was that? Would you rather have as the new Norman Osborn Matthew McConaughey or Jason Isaac? Matthew McConaughey, I think, is a great cast for Norman Osborn. I think although I do think Giancarlo Esposito would do a great Norman Osborn. Ray, my friend Ray, came up with that and fan cast, and I think people have slowly realized it in the fandom in the last like year or so as well. And I think Giancarlo Esposito, Gus Fires or whatever his name is from Breaking Bad. I haven't watched Breaking Bad, but anyway, him. Mysterio is a low B. I do think he was a good villain, but far from the best. Yeah, so Mysterio, what are we saying for Mysterio? Mysterio is high B, only because I hated who Tony Stark did him wrong and takes revenge on Peter. Ayo, who remembers it when it would have been revealed that his head was preserved or something and he was sort of alive? Yeah, that was the thing. I don't know why. Mysterio is an E. Good for nothing, says Ravenous Puncher. Gus Fring, that's the one. I think Mysterio, on the other hand, is A tier because he did manage to trick Peter in Far From Home. Lewis, who do you think is playing Norman in freshman year? I don't know, but I think it's interesting to theorize. We don't know who any of the voice actors are yet. Mysterio said high B, low A. Mysterio is interesting. I don't like his motivation being linked to Iron Man, but I think Jake does a perfect job of portraying him. Mysterio is a D, says Ahmad. My fan cast for Norman is the guy who played Reverse Flash in The Flash, because I fan cast Grant Gustin as Peter Parker. Grant Gustin would be a great Peter Parker, wouldn't he? Oh, well, younger Grant Gustin. Not anymore. He's quite old now. What's his name? Matt Lester is Norman. Or are we talking about Tom Cavanaugh? Whichever Reverse Flash you're on about. Mysterio is a D. His motivations are really broken. Yeah, I hate... Right, for Vulture... We'll get onto Vulture. You guys will see what I say about Vulture, but in terms of Mysterio, yeah, I don't vibe with Mysterio. I think using the Tony Stark connection was one too many times in Far From Home. I think they should have just moved on. There was a perfect opportunity to do Scorpion there, but they didn't, which is really disappointing, and we'll talk more about that later. So I think he's like there, isn't he? Like, his motivations make sense, but I'm just disappointed with him. Is freshman year going to happen? Yeah, it's going to happen. It is going to happen. It's not cancelled. It's coming out next year, probably. Mysterio is cool in my opinion. I still think Far From Home is the worst MCU movie. MCU Spider-Man movie. Yeah, Tom Cavanaugh, that's the one. LOL, tricking Peter in the MCU is a low effort level. The guy was naive as hell, yeah. Mysterio did a good job tricking Peter in an interesting arc. The only thing wrong was his connection to Stark. It was interesting. I just don't vibe with him. I really don't. Right, the first shocker. So this was Herman Schultz, right? And then the second shocker was Montana. Or was it the other way around? Is this Montana? The other one was Herman Schultz? Either way. They were both shocker. This guy didn't really do much, did he? And we're on to the MCU characters. I forgot. Yeah, so we've done the TASM characters now. We're on to the MCU characters. And then we'll go to the Venom characters and then into the Spider-Verse. Okay. what are we saying for? I'm gonna say this is Montana. I think Montana was the first one, and then Herman Schultz was the second one. I think that's the way around it is. Yeah, other way around. You guys are telling me. Tricking Peter isn't a big deal, says Ravenous Puncher. Montana was the first Shocker. Yeah, so Montana. So why are we saying Montana? I don't know. He's kind of just there, isn't he? He didn't really do anything though. He didn't really do anything. I think he was underused a lot. But then again, he was just a thug, so he did serve his purpose. His purpose wasn't to be like this scary major villain. I think he's kind of just there, right? He's like there. He's like middle of D. Shocker! Yep, that's it. Shocker 1 is Montana, Shocker 2 is Herman. Yeah, okay. Both Shockers are lame. They were both underused. I will say that. Both Shockers were underused. But he wasn't awful. Yeah, 24 Brick says Shocker D wasn't awful, but served no purpose. He was okay. Yeah, so he served his purpose, but he didn't really have a bigger purpose, if that makes sense. Anyway, let's move on to Vulture then. Actually, while we're here, might as well put Herman in there as well. I'll just put Herman in next to Montana. I think they were both the same. Didn't really. If Herman came back, I wish Herman came back. At some point. If they do an MCU Sinister 6, I'd like to see Herman Schultz come back. Either way, right. Vulture. Where are we putting Vulture? What are we saying? A. Vulture was low B until Morbius credit scene. No, he's an E. Vulture S. A. Herman is D tier because it's Shocker in the comics. Vulture is low A. Why is it that I forgot Shocker was in Homecoming? S, says Ahmad. Shocker ain't coming back, says Ravenous Puncher. Vulture is king, mid to high A, says 24 Bricks. Vulture is S tier because he is compelling. Vulture is a fantastic villain. The more that I think about him in... Now, Vulture is, I'd say... Now, let's say... I think... Vulture's like a... He's an S. He is. I'm going to say he's there. Yeah, I'm going to put Vulture really high. Everyone's saying S or A, so I'm just going to put him in S. I think he's S. Right, we're going to ignore that he was in Morbius. Okay, but Vulture is an S, right? Vulture's an S. I think he's great. I think he's one of the most compelling Spider-Man villains of all time from the movies. I think he's got a great connection to Peter. He serves the story very well. I think he's an S. Can I say that I've never watched the Venom movies? I feel like I should, but yeah, I'd give him the watch. Vulture is probably one of the most grounded MCU characters. His motivation is perfect, and he's not trying to do any harm, just trying to help family, which everyone can relate to. Yeah, exactly. And I think his connection to Tony Stark made sense. So I got to clear this up. The reason I put Vulture in S and Mysterio in C is because in the first MCU Spider-Man movie, it makes sense to have a villain that's directly linked to Tony Stark. Because Tony Stark's alive, Spider-Man's very close to Tony Stark. Spider-Man hasn't been around enough to really form any kind of, like, poor relationship with a villain. You might as well just use Tony Stark as, like, a jumping on point for a villain, for Spider-Man, right? Which makes sense. But when you do it twice, when you do it Mysterio, it's like, you've already set up Scorpion. You set up Scorpion to be a villain for Spider-Man based off what's happened in Homecoming. Which is how it should have been. And that's the way it was going to go. But then they use Mysterio. And it's like, why? Just use Scorpion. But with Vulture, it makes sense. And I'm not mad about the Stark connection in Homecoming. I am in Far From Home, but in Homecoming, I can let it slide. So, but he was a great character. He's above Dickovich. Yeah, I know, yeah. He's above Ock and Dickovich. I'm sorry. Mysterio needs more love. Personally, I loved him in No Way Home. Mysterio is lame, says Ravenous Puncher. Him and Ock are S, says Daniel's World. I don't know. Is he above Dickovich? Yeah, he's above Dickovich. He's got to be, right? Right, Betty Brant in the MCU. she's a massive letdown. Can I just say? I don't. I think. She's okay. She served her purpose in Far From Home, which is fine, but she's a massive letdown. I think she's a high D. She's like low C. She's a high D. I think she served her purpose in the MCU, right? But she's a massive letdown of a character because I thought going into Homecoming and then going into Far From Home, they were really building. No, maybe I'm too harsh on her. Maybe she wasn't. Maybe she wasn't there for. Maybe she's a low C. Okay, we'll go low C because I think she's. I don't think they were building her up for anything special. I think she did serve her purpose. I just wish that she got more in No Way Home because she was getting interesting. Yeah. Oh, this guy's on there twice. The gym teacher. He's there twice. Okay, the gym teacher. Yeah, I guess he was quite funny, actually. He was actually quite funny. I'll give him that. He's quite funny. He's like a high D. The gym teacher was quite funny. But Betty's a D. Should be ranked higher than Taz and Harry. It's so weird that they put the same grade. They put her the same grade as Peter. He's good, C. Yeah, he's like funny. Yeah, I'll give him low C. I'll give him high. Yeah, I'll give him like there. He was funny. Okay, what we saying about Peter Parker? Tom Holland's Peter Parker. What are we saying? What are we saying about Peter Parker? B. Bloody hell. B. S. Yeah, he's an S. Tom Holland's Peter Parker is the best Peter Parker we have. Sorry. I'm sorry. I might have just upset a few people. I think, I just watched your Marvel Spider-Man face change video and it was done really well. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think Peter Parker's an S. He's top of S. In front of Toby. He's in front of Toby. Now, here's the thing. I think, once again, using the same logic that we used for Andrew below Toby, I think we use the same logic with Tom above Toby. And this is what I usually say when it comes to when it comes to comparing the Spider-Man. My favorite is Toby. Don't get me wrong. My favorite Spider-Man is Toby. My guilty pleasure Spider-Man is Andrew Garfield. Like, I love Andrew Garfield to bits. I think he's my favorite performance as Spider-Man. Like, if I want to relate, if I want to cry, if I want to feel something, if I want to like almost see myself in Spider-Man, I'll watch Andrew Garfield. I just feel the oomph. I can relate to that character. But I understand that he's not a great character in comparison to Toby and Tom. Well, he is, but he's like not on their level. Tom, I think, is the best character. He's been through hardships. He's had an overarching arc over the whole MCU. That every movie that he's been in is fed into it really well. Even Far From Home, which I don't consider to be the greatest of Spider-Man movies. When you watch Far From Home and No Way Home back to back, they really complement each other really well. Which is what's good about the MCU, is that everything's overarching. And I think he's finished his first arc at the end of No Way Home. And going into the next trilogy, he will do a new one. And his character's great. He's gone through so much and he's there. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I think he's great. And he's great. Yeah. Well, MCU Parker was a trust fund child. What are you talking about? No, I think he was great. I think he's high S. I think he's the best character we have in this entire list. I think he's the best character he has in this entire list. I need to do like a retrospective video on MCU Spider-Man. I need to go over everything at some point. I've already got my deep dive on Spider-Man 1 coming soon. You guys know that's been in the works for a very long time. But it's finally coming next month. Yeah. So a lot of people are disagreeing. Some people are agreeing. It is what it is. I grew up with Tobey Spider-Man. I personally believe they're all good actors. They're all great actors. All Spider-Man are S tier for me. Spidey's the GOAT. I think his character would be great in 4 if they continue off the perfect ending of No Way Home. And they will. I feel like they will. No, disagree, Lewis says Revenant's budget. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. He was handed everything on a plate. Yeah, but that's why it was so good. Because he got handed everything on a plate, and then everything got ripped away from him. And he had to learn to be Spider-Man, but just in a more backwards way. So people don't like him because he had this suit, he had tech, he had all this, he had that, he had this. He had a lot of Iron Man stuff. But then come the end of No Way Home, he doesn't have it anymore. And it's like, okay, well, that's the Spider-Man we want, right? It is. And it's the journey of how he got there. And I think Peter appreciates the fact that he doesn't have it now. I think Peter appreciates what it's like doing it on his own. And I think that was the whole purpose of No Way Home. That level of responsibility of himself, of the people. And by the end of No Way Home, he's learnt that. And I just think he's a great character. Before No Way Home, I would have probably put him there. But after No Way Home, he's definitely there. Or maybe there. I don't know. He might have been above Andrew slightly. I don't know. Maybe he's like there. He's like interchanging with Andrew, right? But after No Way Home, he's definitely here. 100%. For me, anyway. Wait for Sony to outdo his so-called sacrifice. Well, the thing is, if they undo the ending of No Way Home, he goes back to here. But if they continue it in a good way, he's still here. That's the way that I'm going to determine this. In Spider-Man 4, this is my only caveat, right, with Tom Holland. He's a great character right now. He's perfect Spider-Man right now. In my opinion, he's the greatest Spider-Man right now, the greatest Spider-Man character. In 4, if they undo the ending of No Way Home, he's here. If they don't, he's here and above. So it's either one or the other. There's no in between. The whole point of Homecoming was that he shouldn't need tech. People need to understand this. MCU Spidey being smart makes sense because he's a genius in the comics. Also, no team-ups for the next trilogy. Enough team-up nonsense. There will be team-ups, but I think they'll be more low-key, like Daredevil, probably, and maybe Kate Bishop. I don't think they'll be like with big Avengers. Tom is great. I must leave now. Sorry, I'll watch the rest later if I can. Yeah, see you later. See you later, Joe. Have a good rest of your day. I honestly can't wait for depressed college Spider-Man 4. That would be perfect. Yeah, I think that's what it's going to be. Right, Liz Allen. Where are we saying Liz Allen? Let's move on to Liz Allen. What are we saying? We might have to do a part 3 of this stream. Because I'm running out of time. What are we saying for Liz Allen? A, says Ahmad. Liz is C. B or C, says Cindy Flick. Juice Davis says C. What are we saying? Ahmed, then why did he use Tech Infinity War? You were dead wrong. The writers could have written better. You need to understand this. Well, okay, right. I know you guys are debating whether or not he should have used tech in Infinity War, but the thing is, the writers had an impossible task of balancing a cinematic universe with a character, and there was no way they could under or overlap it. So they had to almost reevaluate his character in Far From Home and kind of tread similar grounds that they did in Homecoming, which is why a lot of people say that they're basically the same character arc, which makes sense. But I think overall, when you watch all 3 movies back to back, Homecoming and Far From Home, they complement Peter's growth into becoming his own hero. And then when you watch Far From Home and No Way Home back to back, it complements Peter's responsibility into being himself, into being looking after others and looking after himself and being independent. And I think when you look at it like that, rather than they just sprung tech upon him and it's really bad. I said when you take a step back and you kind of look at it a little bit like, well, they worked with what they had, and then when we get to the end of No Way Home, he is this way. You kind of start to realize that, yeah, they had trouble along the way, and maybe they shouldn't have given him the tech in Infinity War, but at least he is there now, which is good. The writers could have kept Peter in New York. How hard is that to do? Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I mean, the thing is, it's an adaptation, right? I mean, you can do whatever you want with him. The hate for MCU MJ is real, says Juice Davis. I love MCU MJ, but we'll get there. She's next, actually. Liz Allen in the MCU she's a low A. She's a low A. We'll put her there, I think. I really like Liz Allen in the MCU because I think that she has her connection with the villain. I think it's just like, okay, if Adrian Toomes isn't her dad, she's like here, right? She's like a low C. She's like a high C, low B if Adrian Toomes isn't her dad. But because Vulture is a part of like her character, she's like here. Because that adds so much depth to the relationship that she has with Peter. And I think that's great. I think it expands. It expands out. Yeah, Random Punch says Liz is high A. Yeah. Yeah. She is great. Right, now here's the big one. This will be the main debate of this video. What about MJ? What about MCU MJ? I prefer Liz to MJ in the MCU because she's a natural round character. The reason a lot of people hated Peter in the MCU before No Way Home is because he always told people he's Peter. Example, his first time meeting Doctor Strange. I'm Peter, by the way. Oh, so you mean it like they reveal his identity? Liz has a much better personality and demeanor than lame MJ. A, says Juice Davis. Where are we saying MJ? Where are we saying? What are we saying about MJ? MCU MJ is low D. What? MCU MJ is A tier for me. So it's very mixed bag in here. I don't know what to say about MJ. It's just above Raimi. Jameson, they're interchangeable for me. MJ is C. MCU MJ is low D. B, A tier. We've got, like, everyone has said every category. High A or low C? So it's very mixed in here. It's very mixed. For me, I'm torn. I'm really torn, you know. Because I like MJ in the MCU, but I think she's more of a character that has potential. She will be in the new trilogy. I don't say she's stale, because she definitely has hints of backstory. We know that. She's like... I think if you were to take No Way Home out of the equation, she's like here, right? She's like here. I would agree. She's not got very much. But when you add No Way Home into the equation, she's like here. Because at least she has an arc. She has a character arc that informs her backstory. You have to subtly look at it. But her whole pessimistic to optimistic character arc in No Way Home informs the kind of backstory that Mary Jane has from the comics, which is like her coming from like an abusive background, which means that you obviously would be a pessimistic person. So I like that. I think it says a lot. I think it adds a lot more depth than we ever got with MJ in the MCU. But since obviously that's also sort of based off assumption and it hasn't been explored yet and isn't confirmed, I can't put her anywhere near S. I can't. She's nowhere near S. She's nowhere near Gwen Stacy level. She's not near MJ in the Raimi films. She's like here. There. I'll put her there. I think she... And the thing is, people will say, well, that's still not enough. I think, like my logic with Dr. Connors, I think she has potential to be a great character, and I can see it. And I think she will be. And then that's when I'll move her up into S. Everyone says she's too depressed. For me, Nick, Tony, Eddie, and Venom S tier. They made it special. The problem with Mary Jane is the problem is Mary Jane, which should be optimistic. She's better than Raimi MJ. Well, she went on a character arc and became optimistic. Right, okay, we're gonna finish the MCU characters, and then I'm gonna do a part 3 next week because we've talked a lot here, and I think we could interestingly talk about. Well, actually, it's not really. There's not much debate in the rest of the characters. I think we'd probably agree, mostly. She's supposed to be the light in Spider-Man's life, but she's just a downer. Well, I think that's the arc that she's gone on, right? I mean, we don't know when we see her in 4. We don't know yet. I think we should, right now, talk about only Spider-Man 4. Taking a whole trilogy makes a little sense. So any character from Norman, MJ, Harry, Eddie, except May can appear. They can, yeah. I don't understand the hate. Hate is justified. I get where people are coming from with the hate. I don't agree with it all. I can see the criticisms, but I don't agree with it all. Mary Jane wasn't originally optimistic in the comics. In Mary Jane in the comics, well, she was. She had an optimistic persona, a very outgoing persona, but why she was such an interesting character was because her inner flaws were that she was pessimistic. She was like an optimistic on top and a pessimistic underneath. Where she didn't think anything was going right in her life. She had a tragic backstory. You know, the reason that she put on the optimistic facade, the reason that she appeared all glamorous is because that she felt like she had nothing to give on the inside. She had nothing to give emotionally, which I think is a very, very good like it's well written. Is what I'm trying to say. I can't wait for you to get to Spider-Verse characters. I have a lot of great things to say in my head about Peter and Penny. Yeah, well, we'll get there in part 3, I think. False Alarm Zendaya's MJ was great. Would be a B for me, like the introvert version. Mary Jane's party girl persona was an act in the comics to hide how broken she really is. Yeah, exactly. Along you honestly, that's fine. The deli guy is a C. Yeah, let's put him in there. The deli guy is a C. He's like he was fun. He was fun. Okay, let's move on to Dimitri. So yeah, he's like here, isn't he? Let's say he's like there. Dimitri didn't really do much. He's kind of like a Rhino type. He didn't really do much. He was meant to be a villain at some point. Once again, he just went to nowhere. Love to see him in the trilogy side villain. Yeah, but he's not going to come back, is he? He won't come back. Unless they do Kraven in the MCU and then it turns out he's related to him. Because obviously we know Dimitri turns out to be the Chameleon, and the Chameleon is Kraven's half-brother in the comics. So potentially there's a Kraven connection there. Don't know how likely that is to happen. I hope Spider-Man 4 will be street-level movie. It will be. Fury is an S. Oh, yeah, so Nick Fury. I mean, obviously, Nick Fury is an S, right? You have to put him in S. He's like there, right? Nick Fury's an S. Yeah. I mean, it's Nick Fury. He's not above J. Jonah Jameson. Sorry. But Nick Fury's an S. Samuel L. Jackson's an S. That's for sure. Who was the dude that was apparently chameleon, which is crap? Well, he was meant to be a chameleon. Sorry, pal. The introvertedness and depression is something that she overcomes in No Way Home. It is, yeah. Street level, but features powerful villains. Fury in the MCU high B, based off Far From Home is D. Nick Fury and S. Are we basing off the entire MCU? Okay, guys. Are we basing the larger MCU characters off the entire MCU or just the Spider-Man movie that they were in? I need that question answering. What are we saying? Are we basing it off their? Are we basing it off the whole of the MCU or the one Spider-Man movie that they were in? Because this will determine where Nick Fury goes. We have to base it off all the MCU. We're basing it off the Spider-Man movies. If someone can give me a very good argument as to which one we should do. S for Nick, one film doesn't change anything. I don't think it would be fair to judge them based off their Spider-Man appearances. Okay. So I think the general consensus is that we do. Okay. So Happy Hogan then. Happy Hogan is like, he's like a high A then, isn't he? Happy Hogan. He's a great character. I love Happy. He's like there, right? He's like there. I mean, he doesn't have anything substantial to do since the Iron Man movies, but he's kind of there. He's funny. He's great. He's there. He's like an A. He's like a mid-A. He's great. He's a great character. I mean, he doesn't have as much as everyone else, but he's great. Yeah, he's great. I think we can all agree. He's aight. He's aight. Right, okay. What's his name? It's BJ Smooth's character. What's his name in the film? What's his name? I forgot his name. BJ Smooth's character. What's he called? Either way, he's funny. I like him. He's a cool side character. He's also a C for me. He's a cool side character. We're getting to the point where I can't see the characters at the bottom here. Right, okay. Next is Ned Leeds. Next is Ned Leeds. Joe says expect disappointment and you'll never be disappointed. Later in the film, she says no, we're gonna kick some ass after the spell. She tells Peter to get excited for MLT. Yeah, so she does have an arc. Your prediction of Peter working with Connors and Kraven after going after Lizard came true. Yeah, I know. That's what I found funny. I predicted the whole Lizards in the game and the whole. Yeah, that was cool. Not a lot of people like. Not a lot of people in B tier. Not a lot of people in B tier. No, there's not a lot of people in B tier actually. Funny because I'm gonna put Ned in B tier. I think Ned doesn't have much, does he? He's kind of just. He's a good B. He's high B, but he's like. Ravenous Puncher says that's not an arc. It is an arc. That is what a character arc is. It's progression in. Well, I guess you could say it's more a plan and a payoff, But MJ does go through. MJ does go through. Obviously, seeing Peter get really down, and she is the one that has to bring him up. So then she realizes within herself that she has to be less pessimistic in order for Peter to be optimistic. So it is a character arc, and it's presented through a plan and a payoff. Guy in the chair, Ned is S. Obviously, I mean it's by MCU standards, says Ramnus Puncher. Ned is a B. Ned is a B. He doesn't have much. The same with MJ before No Way Home. He didn't really have much. The only thing he had in No Way Home was magic. There's not much about his backstory. We don't know much about him as a person. He's a B. Aunt May in the MCU. She was such a letdown. She is a letdown. She is a high B, though. Or is she not? She's like... Aunt May in the MCU is a letdown. Okay, no, she's a high B because she gave the responsibility speech. And she was great in No Way Home. I think this is a theme. The characters that weren't great in the other two movies were great in No Way Home. Aunt May is B. C or B, A. Yeah, only good in No Way Home, yeah. Why is Raimi, MJ, and M tier? Because Raimi, MJ is good. Aunt May's a B because, like, she was so disappointed in the first two movies. I think they could have done in Homecoming she was good. They could have done so much more with her in Far From Home, but they didn't. And then No Way Home, she was great. But I think in comparison to what she should be for Peter Parker, like, obviously she was there. She was a decent character. She probably should be higher. But what she is for Peter Parker and how she should be treated, 100% should be more. Should be more. Pepper Potts, yeah, she's there with Happy Hogan, in my opinion. An A. The Tinkerer, he was a pretty funny character. He's like a high D, I think. We're just trying to power through some of these side characters. Donald Glover didn't really get much to do, but once again, he's like a mid. He's like there with the Shockers, isn't he? Really, Donald Glover. I think there's potential there for him. Now Aunt May in Homecoming was great. She was the worrying mother. Aunt May is in the comics. The scene where she yells at Peter, gave me Ultimate Spider-Man vibes. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I just think she was very let down by No Way Home. D, what did MJ do to you, Joseph? MJ was lame. That's the truth. I mean, I don't agree, but you guys have your opinions, and their opinions. Tony Stark. If we're basing off all the MCU, then obviously he's S, right? I mean, come on. If we're basing off, this is why I asked this question, because if we're basing it off all of the MCU, Tony Stark is the best character on this entire list. Let's just put that out there. Okay? Okay? If we're basing off all the MCU, Tony Stark is the best character on this entire list. Let's just put that. Right, Mr. Harrison, he's funny. He's there with BJ Smooth. Tony is S above Jameson. You think he's there? Nah, he's there. Tony's the best character on this list, without a doubt. You should do an MCU tier list. We've done one before, actually. Tony over Peter. Yeah, he is. Tony is the best character on this list. 100%. Everyone says Spider-Man is higher. Well, I guess this is a Spider-Man list, but at the end of the day, I think Tony is. He is. I think Tony's the best character on this list. He is. I mean, once again, you got to think that Tony has finished his arc. Peter hasn't yet. So there is room for Peter to be above Tony. I have maybe a hot take here, but the female characters haven't been treated right in the MCU. Characters should go through struggles and difficulties like with the characters. MJ goes through struggles. MJ, I think MJ will have something in the next trilogy. Definitely. Probably not 4. I think they'll probably reduce her to more of a background character as to not ruin the end of No Way Home and the impact that her and Peter's breakup had. But I think definitely in 5 and 6 she will be a prominent character, and I think we'll start to see more of her past. Tony did more damage to Peter than any other. Yeah, but he's a great character. That's not inherently Tony's fault. That's what they decided to do with Spider-Man. Anyway, I think we're going to end it there, actually. So we've got a substantial amount of MCU characters to go back through. We've got Michael Mando, Scorpion, Flash Thompson, Brad. These will all be interesting debates, I think, next week. Then we've got the Venom characters. And then finally, we will go through the Into the Spider-Verse characters as well. And obviously, when Across the Spider-Verse comes out as well, which actually is next week. So maybe I'll do the stream earlier on in the week next week, so then we can do a stream for Across the Spider-Verse when that comes out. I'm seeing Across the Spider-Verse on the Friday. So then I'll probably stream on the Sunday, I want to say. I'll stream on the Sunday, and we'll do Across the Spider-Verse content. So, Spectacular Spider-Man proves that you can do a good MJ character without doing a backstory. I don't think MJ was that good in Spectacular Spider-Man. I think everyone saw the potential was there, and I think that's why everyone liked her. Because she was comic accurate. Lewis, are you seeing The Flash? I am seeing The Flash. I will be. But anyway, yeah, thank you very much for coming to the stream. It's been a great stream once again, as always. I do appreciate all of you guys' support. I love how we come together as a community to talk about Spider-Man, the hero that we love, and do these streams. It's always a pleasure. So thank you very much to all of you. And yeah, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell and also join the membership if you want to. Only 99 pence a month. You can get exclusive emojis, priority reply to comments. You know, you can get every video that I post early. So my Marvel Spider-Man 2 video is out for the members at the moment, which is coming out tomorrow. And yeah, stuff like that. Just anyway, thank you very much for watching. Thanks for coming, guys. I appreciate all of your support, and I'll see you next week for the next stream, which will probably be Sunday. But as you guys know, I always like to change my mind, so just keep tabs on the community post, and I'll keep posted. See you later.